Right, you're back with us here on the Newsfeed late night, and your reporting continues now. Zimbabwe High Court today heard a petition by civil society to have by-elections held in 40 constituencies that are currently vacant. This despite the threat posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Government in March last year banned all electoral activities as a way of curtailing the spread of the coronavirus. But the opposition, which has more than 40 MPs who were recalled from Parliament recently, said the move is unconstitutional. Let's get details now. A Newzroom Afrika correspondent, Ncube, joins me now for more details. So, Xolani, there are 40 constituencies that have been vacant now for over a year. So there's been no electoral activity, you're saying, in Zimbabwe up until this point.
Good evening, Thabo, and good evening to our viewers home. Indeed, since the onset of COVID-19 in March, the country has never had any election activity, be it at local government level or even at parliament level. And that on its own has left many constituencies without MPs to talk about their issues in parliament. And now the society is saying it is time that we allow people to vote and choose who they want to represent their interest in parliament.
What has led to the 40 being dismissed?
Well, Thabo, we have to understand that the opposition largely has had quite a very troublesome time, I would say. We have seen infighting in the opposition party following the Supreme Court ruling, which said that Chamisa, or Nelson Chamisa, was the leader of the MDC alliance, did not go to that throne properly, and then it installed Ncube, who in turn recalled at first around 18 MPs at once, then followed by another 18, and recently 5. We've seen a number of them, and also some have died in the process. Also, the implosion went even down to local authorities. Councillors were recalled, mayors were recalled, and all those areas don't have any person who takes over issues of service delivery and local representation to parliament or even to local authorities, council.
Now, of course, there are a number of issues that have come up around the Electoral Commission and its thoughts around whether or not free or fair elections can be held in Zimbabwe during this time of COVID-19. In September, they issued some instructions of how free and fair elections could possibly be held, or the feasibility of this. What has happened to that publication and those guidance?
Those guidance were issued, and later on they were overturned by the Minister of Health, and in this case is the Vice President of this country, Chiwenga, who said that as long as we have got the COVID-19, and by then we don't have any vaccination drive, in the country, and he said that until we have a mechanism to protect our people, we can't allow our country to go to in any election. The election body had issued quite a number of guidelines dealing with how to protect the ordinary people who would want to participate in any election. These included things like masking up, as well as provision of sanitization at every polling station, as well as reducing the number of people who attend rallies. All those were put in place to try and allow people to participate in any election during the COVID-19 pandemic. But the government came in quickly and said, no, not until we have a very clear plan of dealing with COVID-19. And that has led, or that has caused the country the way it is today. 40 areas don't have MPs, and quite more than 50 local authorities don't have councillors. And it's something that the opposition is saying, enough is enough. We must be allowed to choose people who must take our issues up and challenge the executive. Yeah.
What does the Electoral Act say and the Constitution around election campaigning?
Well, at first, let us deal with probably, Thabo, what does the Constitution say with regarding the issue of having a vacant seat? For how long should that happen? According to our law, only 3 months. And after 3 months, the president is authorized by law to issue a proclamation which calls for those who want to contest to come forward and put up their names in a ballot and say we want to contest. Then you come to issue from holding of the campaigns and everything. The law is very clear. Each party is allowed to campaign freely, access the media, and so on and so forth. But because of COVID-19, there's been talk of let us go, the e-process, that is using the online mechanisms, e-rallies and so on and so forth. But again, Zimbabwe's population, because of the economy, not many can afford to go on that's the e-lorries and everything. So those are the issues that are coming on play to say, how do we balance health and the political rights?
Is there no concern among the opposition that virtual campaigning will not give equal advantage to all? In other words, the campaigning will be unfair and will disadvantage certain others, while seasoned politicians and the incumbent might actually do very well?
Thabo, I would say Zimbabwe's population, 70% of it is largely based in rural areas. Yes, the country has got quite a good number of internet penetration in rural areas. Almost everyone in the country, I would say, has got a smartphone and they can access internet, I would say. But the question has been the cost as well. Yes, if you talk of the incumbent enjoying that privilege of being known by the voters or the electorate, that is also coming in and playing out to say, how can new players or new candidates get being known to the voters through the e-platform, given that not many people are able to buy data and fund these services? Again, there's an issue of saying the media in Zimbabwe on its own, public media, is tilted in favor of the ruling party. Yeah. That is also coming in and playing out to say not many, particularly those in the opposition can afford to fund either be it online media, be it private press, be it good adverts. It is very impossible for those in the opposition. Yeah. But those in the government, they've got a very old state media on their advantage, as well as machinery, as well as the rural areas. They can access them easily. And by the way, the chiefs are also playing out a very big role in this. In this case, they support largely the ruling party.
Can the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission ensure that all duly nominated candidates have access to equal prime time airtime on public radio, television, and so on? Is that something that is reasonable that they can do?
Reasonable, I would say they can do it if they wish, but unfortunately, given the experience that we've had with previous elections, talk of 2013, talk of 2018, it's something that is there in the law to say all parties have access to the media, be it private, be it state media. But not all opposition parties have got access to the state media, particularly because of it is controlled by the levers of power, by those in authority. They control even the stories that come out. Not only that, even paying adverts, they are they are given the peripheral feed. You talk of the MDC, which is the biggest in the party in Zimbabwe in terms of outside Zanu PF. They are not even allowed to have prime time show or prime time programs. They are even given the late night, probably those programs that are when people are not there to watch them or to listen to their adverts. All those are issues that are really affecting the access to the media by the opposition in Zimbabwe. Yeah. Yes, the electoral body can order, but the implementation part is still lacking.
Let's talk then about this case that has been brought on by civil society. What do they say around the question of general mistrust, right, in the election management bodies in that part of the world, particularly during this time of COVID-19? How will they ensure transparency and fairness? What are they saying in their court papers?
In their court papers, they raise the issue to say, first and foremost, allow us to have elections. Then secondly, allow us as civil society. They say that they must be allowed, or the opposition must be allowed to campaign. When they campaign, they can segment people to attend, either in a group of 100 or 50s, depending. All they want primarily is to say, open the space for us to campaign. How and everything, leave that to us. If you allow us to do that, we are going to follow the protocols, and we are going to make sure that we don't expose the voters to COVID-19. Remember, Thabo, the country currently is in a situation where it has this the new variant, predominantly in India, in the country already, and fears are that the variant might be very catastrophic for people. Yeah. But they are saying that being there, we are able to monitor our people, we are able to ensure that we protect our people in as much as we understand that there is health issues and health questions available. But as well, they are saying that when you allow us to do that, allow the media, state media and private press, to carry the message for us. At our cost, we will pay, but open the space for us, and we are going to face ZANU-PF whatever way we're able to do so.
Meanwhile, ZANU-PF is not sitting back. They're gearing up. They've been holding primary elections to select candidates.
Definitely, the funny part of it is that ZANU-PF has been holding primary elections to choose candidates who are going to stand in these by-elections. But when you ask the president to say, when are you going to proclaim these elections? The answer is very simple. Until we ensure that everybody is inoculated, first thing. Secondly, until we've made sure that at least the COVID-19 threat is at a very manageable zone, then we can talk about by-elections. At the moment, yes, there's a party. Besides only having primary elections, they're also holding meetings. They're also holding rallies. They're also holding large gatherings, which the opposition can't do that. If only 5 people in the opposition gather together, they are arrested. All those are issues that say there is that kind of a tilted in terms of law, and who gets what, and who is allowed to address, and who is not allowed to address.
Xolani, I appreciate you joining us tonight. That's our Newzroom Afrika correspondent in Zimbabwe, Ncube, there, giving us that latest update. The Newsfeed Late Night continues for you in a moment. Please stay with us.